Hello and welcome to this lecture, and in this lecture onwards we are going to start building the application for the client as well. So in the previous lecture we were actually building the application for the owner. So right now the application is not completely ready, but what we will do is that we will go along in a particular flow. So right now, as you could see, we have designed the functionality so that the owner is actually able to upload a food item to the list. Now what we want to do is that we want to display those added items to the customer. So what we will do is that we will start making the customers app in this lecture. So in the first part we will design the sign up activity, because you do need to have sign up information about the user, because the restaurant owner needs to know the name of the user who has ordered a particular food item. So this application will be using the same database, which is the new food order database, which we have created for the owner's application. So what I will do here is that I will quickly go ahead and close this application, and we will start a new Android Studio project. And let's say we name this project as a new food order, let's say client. So simply click next, select the API level to be 15, select a basic activity, or you could also go with an empty activity as well, whatever works with you. So I'm going to go with the empty one, click finish, and we are good to go. So in this lecture we will create the activity for signing up the user. So whenever the user enters his email and password, he should be able to sign up in our system and he should be authenticated. And also we will designing the sign in functionality, so once the user is signed up, he will be able to sign in into the application and start placing his order. So let's go ahead and go to Android Studio, and in here the first thing which we do is that in the main activity we make this layout to be a linear one with the orientation as vertical. So this is actually the same old job which we are doing for since a lot of lectures. So in here the first thing which we are going to have is that we will have a text view which says something like sign up. So let's say text view, match parent, wrap content. Let's say the text says sign up, so sign up over here. And the next thing which we do is that we add edit text for email. So that's going to be edit text, match parent, wrap content. That's going to be having a text, or let's say hint, which says something like enter email. And the ID for this is going to be something like let's say @+ID edit email. And I actually forgot to set the orientation to vertical. So as you could see now it looks a lot better. So let's also copy the same edit text, paste it over here, and that one is going to be for password. So it says enter, let's say password, and this thing says edit pass as password. So once this thing is done, let's finally add in a button over here. So it says something like let's say sign up. So this is going to be match parent, wrap content. The text is going to be sign up. And after that what we will do is that we will also add a button at the bottom which says something like if you are already having an account, then you simply need to click this button and this is going to take you to the sign in activity instead. So we will add a text view over here at the bottom, which is obviously going to be match parent and wrap content, and the text is going to be something like already have an account. And what we will do here is that we will add in a margin from top, which is going to be let's say 250 dps, and as you could see it is now placed at the bottom. And then finally at the bottom let's have a button with match parent and wrap content which says something like let's say sign in. So once this thing is done, as you could see our layout looks pretty much ready. So now let's go ahead and add in an on click to the sign up method. So here this is going to be on click, which is going to say sign up button clicked, and this one is going to say let's say sign in button clicked. Okay, so once this thing is done, what we want to do is that we want to take these values and basically register the user. So in order to sign up the users, we will go to the main activity, and in here let's declare a few things. So first we will declare the edit text. So private edit text, that's going to be email comma pass. So here we have our two edit texts. Now also let's have a reference to the database. So that's going to be database reference. And actually before adding database reference, you want to make sure that you have connected this project with Firebase. So I have not actually done that. So let's quickly go to tools, Firebase, and in here go to authentication. And here first you need to connect the app to Firebase. So simply click on this button. And what that's going to do is that it's going to ask you if you want to actually create a new project, that is the Firebase project, or do you want to add it to a previous project. So we don't actually want to go ahead and create a new one. Instead, we want to use the current one. So the current project which we are looking for is going to be new food order. So that's going to be this one, which we have created just a few moments ago. So simply select this one, which is new food order, and this one is new food order client. So click on connect to Firebase and we are good to go. So the next thing which you need to do is that you need to add in the dependency for authentication, and you also need to add in the dependency for the database reference as well. So what we will do here is that we will quickly add the Firebase authentication once the app is connected. So as you could see, now the app is connected to Firebase. So quickly add Firebase dependency for authentication. And once it is added, let's go back, and in order to go back you need to click on this icon in case if you don't know. So I'm going to go here, and I don't know why this thing is not working fine. Okay, so now you need to go to the real-time database as well. So you need to add in the database dependencies over here. So this is the same thing which we have done in the previous lecture as well, but we do need to do it over here as well because this is the new Android Studio project. And after this, let's go over here and add in the database reference by typing private database reference, and let's name it as mDatabase. That's going to be database, which is mDatabase. And after that, let's go ahead in the onCreate and get a reference to the edit text for the email and password. So we'll go right here, and that's going to be email equals, typecast it to edit text, find view by id r.id dot, that's going to be email, and hopefully we have named this thing as email, that is edit email. So we'll type in edit email over here, and the next one is going to be pass. So pass is going to be edit text, find view by id r.id dot edit pass. So once we have reference to these two things, the next thing which we do is that we also get a reference to the Firebase auth. So in order to get a reference to the Firebase auth, what we will do here is that we will first create the variable here. So that's going to be private Firebase auth mauth. And what we will do is that we will get a reference to it over here. So that's going to be mauth equals Firebase auth dot get instance. And now the next thing which we do is that once you have registered the user, what you also want to do is that you want to go ahead and add the user's data to the database as well. So for that purpose, we need the database reference over here. So we will also initialize the database reference as mDatabase equals Firebase database dot get instance dot get reference dot child, and we will name this child as, let's say, users. And once we have this child set up, we are good to go. Now the next thing which we do is that once the information is added over here, you want to add it to the database on clicking this button. So for this button, the onClick method is sign up button clicked. So simply copy that method, go back over here, create an onClick method for it by typing public void the method name, pass in a view over here, which is view, and in here what you essentially do is that you get the values entered by the user in these two edit text. So that's going to be string email text, that's going to be email dot get text dot toString dot trim, and the same thing is going to be for the password as well. So pass underscore text is going to be pass dot, that should be get text, so pass dot get text dot toString dot trim. and sometimes autocomplete does not work correctly. Okay, so once this thing is done, we check for the emptiness of these two things. So I'm going to quickly type in that code so that you don't actually get bored, because this is the same stuff which we have done for tutorials. So it's actually quite boring and dull. Okay, so once this thing is done, you could go ahead and you could use the create user with email and password method. So that's going to be mauth.createUser with email and password, and you simply need to pass in these two values over here, which is the email text and the password text. So once this is added, you could add an onComplete listener to it. So we'll go ahead and add that quickly as new onComplete listener, which is going to give us the onComplete method. So in this onComplete method, what we will do is that we will go ahead, we will first get the user's ID, and then after getting the user's ID, you want to store the username along with the user ID into the database. So what we will do here is that we will create a string, name it as user ID, and in order to get user ID, you type mauth.getCurrentUser.getUID. So once you have the UID, let's get a database reference so that we could store this UID into the database. So that's going to be database reference, let's say current user equals mdatabase.child, and we want the child to be equal to user ID. And in here what we do is that we type in current user, that should be user. So that's going to be current user dot child, and you want to store in the name of the child. So name dot set value, and set the value equal to the email text. So instead of saving the username, we are using the email address of the user. So instead of putting name here, we will pass in the email text, which is the value of the email of that particular user. So once this thing is done, we are actually good to go. So once the user is successfully signed in, we will be able to see the value of that in the Firebase console. So for now, what you need to do is that you need to open up Firebase console, and if you go to authentication, and if you go to sign in method, here you want to enable this email and password authentication. So simply click on this icon and click enable, click save, and you should be good to go. So once this thing is done, what you could do is that if you could go to users, as you could see right now there are no users, but now what we will do is that we will save the code and run this application and see if we are able to register using this. So once we register using this application, our user ID with email should pop up over here, and also the value should get added to the database as well. So it's actually going to take a little bit of time, as this is the first time installing this new application. Okay, so the application is up and running on my device, and it is not loaded up yet. Okay, so let me just give in an email. This is not my email, this is, let's say, demo@gmail.com, and let's say the password is demo, let's say demo and demo. So when I hit sign up button, hopefully this should be added to the database. Okay, so I opened this thing up. Right now there is no users over here, and if we go to sign up method, this is enabled, and as you could see, when I refresh this thing, the user is added over here. And if I go to database over here, the user is not added up over here yet. I don't know why we are not able to add a user here, or it should actually be added up over here without any hassles. So just let me pause this video and I'll check back why this thing didn't work. Okay, so I actually got my mistake. The thing is that you actually need to put this code into another method. So you just need to remove this, and instead of this onComplete, what you need to check first, that you need to check if the task is successful. So you need to add an if task dot is successful, and after that you could go ahead and use this code, and hopefully this should work this time. So let me just save the code and run this application again so as to check if this thing would work. So let's create an email, let's say admin@gmail.com. let's say the password is admin. So when I hit sign up, hopefully this thing should be added now. So if you go to data, as you could see, still the thing is not added, but if you actually go to the authentication, as you could see, admin email address and everything like that is uploaded. So what I'll do here is that I'll stop this video here, and in the next lecture we will check what is the cause of error, that is why the value is not inserted into the database. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.